iHeart Chiropractic, Episode 8.
In the last 5 years, I have lectured at the majority of chiropractic schools in the world. So unfortunately, I know too much. But I know what's going on in schools. I'll tell you, in most schools, in the majority of chiropractic colleges in the world, they are afraid of the concept of subluxation, they are afraid of philosophy, and they're afraid to teach their students how to detect and correct vertebral subluxation.
Yeah.
Remember, it is only by the science of detection and correction of vertebral subluxation that chiropractic has survived as a profession for the last century.
Yes.
And now we are being subverted by this sort of medical undercurrent that cheapens and mitigates and neutralizes the chiropractic legacy. When you hear somebody, no matter what their status in the chiropractic community is, when you hear them talking about something about they're going to limit the power of chiropractic or they're going to tell you what their idea of chiropractic, always ask yourself this question. This question should always be in the background. Are they talking to me out of a motivation of fear or control, or are they talking to me out of an appreciation for the power and limitless abundance of the chiropractic adjustment? Every chiropractor who really has a successful practice, at one time or another, he got the chiropractic story. He got the big idea. He got the sacred trust. Somehow, some way, he got it. If it was at a seminar like this, a convention like this, well, that could be. If it was encountering somebody with the vision and dedication of a Dr. Tim Young or somebody like him, maybe it was like that. But I'm just saying, these are the people that are going to be responsible for the survival of this profession 10, 20, or 30 years down the road and more.
Okay. You're listening to iHeart Chiropractic with Dr. Stephen Mills, the video and audio podcast series dedicated to serving and uplifting philosophically based, subluxation-based, drug-free chiropractic and the chiropractic lifestyle as a way of living that best supports our bodies by minimizing chemical, emotional, and physical trauma and supporting our body's innate capacity to thrive and flourish. Welcome to iHeart Chiropractic. Hello and welcome to episode 8 of iHeart Chiropractic. I'm your host, Dr. Steve Mills, and today we're going to be talking with Dr. Tim O'Shea for our interview. And there's a great story behind how this interview came to be. Basically, I'm at CalJam 2016, Costa Mesa, California, just outside of Segerstrom Hall, talking with Dr. Tim Young, which produced an interview we used for episode 7. And it turns out Dr. Young and Dr. Tim O'Shea are very good friends. They've both spoken at CalJam multiple times. They've both spoken at Focus OKC multiple times. Of course, Dr. Tim Young is the founder of Focus OKC. So he has had Dr. O'Shea join him multiple times for Focus. And they basically go way back, a lot of respect and a lot of love for each other. So I'm talking with Dr. Tim Young. In the middle of an interview, Dr. O'Shea comes by. He's listening in, moseying around, sort of sharing the energy and the time with us. And when I finished Dr. Young, Dr. O'Shea basically says, hey, I'm here. Why don't we sit down and talk? So the opportunity to speak with Dr. Tim O'Shea, which we then went ahead and used for this episode 8 here, basically fell into my lap spontaneously. And I will always be ever grateful for the opportunity to connect with Dr. Tim O'Shea. So that's what you're going to be hearing here in just a few moments. So in this talk today with Dr. Tim O'Shea, we're going to be talking a little bit about his international lecture and seminar schedule, as well as some of the destinations he's been at, as well as some of the programming, content, and topics that he presents on domestically and internationally. We're also going to be talking about some of the most relevant topics within chiropractic today, and the topic of pharmaceuticals. And Dr. Tim O'Shea has some direct experience with those who are pushing to have pharmaceuticals be prescribable by chiropractors. We're going to talk about that a little bit, as well as some of his work. Dr. O'Shea has a website he's had for at least 15 years now called thedoctorwithin.com. Put that listing on the screen for the video blog, and we'll put that in the show notes for this episode. And while we're on that topic, the show notes for this episode can be found at iHeartChiropractic.com. simply click on podcasts and look up episode 8, which is this interview with Dr. O'Shea. We'll put links to thedoctorwithin.com as well as some other references that Dr. O'Shea refers to in this episode. So I really appreciate you stopping by and checking us out. If you'd like to email me, I can be reached at drmills@iHeartChiropractic.com. At any time, I would love to hear from you, any suggestions, any thoughts, ideas. Other than that, make yourself comfortable. Hopefully, you're having an amazing day, and the information that we share with you today will add to that. It will add to your momentum, to your enthusiasm for chiropractic, and it was a great experience for me, and I hope you really, really enjoy the interview. With that, let's get right into it, and I will look forward to seeing you right after the interview for the post-show.
Hello.
Welcome, everyone. This is Dr. Tim O'Shea, Dr. Steve Mills here, iHeart Chiropractic. We're at CalJam 2016 in Costa Mesa, California. Please tell us, we have a few minutes with you. What a pleasure, what an honor. Please tell us a little bit about your work, and you're going to talk a little bit about focus also.
Okay. Well, I'm the creator of a website called thedoctorwithin.com. It's been up for about 15 years. I also have a series of continuing education lectures and seminars that I've been doing for the last 15 years, some live, some online, all over the world. I've spoken at CalJam several times, and I've spoken at Focus every time since its inception. And I can't even remember where I met Tim Young. I don't even remember where I met him. It's like we were always destined to, collaborate.
Yeah.
But I'll say this, and I hope he doesn't watch this. But I've been a chiropractor for 25 years, more than that, and I've taught technique and chiropractic neurology, and I've met hundreds of chiropractors all over the world. But there's no one that I would rather have adjust me or anyone that I personally know than Dr. Young.
Wow.
This dude is a force of nature. I've taught a lot of chiropractors to adjust. I'm no lag myself when it comes to osseous chiropractic adjusting, but when you see Dr. Young and the dedication and the focus, is the word for him, absolute commitment to the adjustment, becoming one with the subluxation and removing the subluxation. There's nobody to compare with him that I've ever seen.
Okay.
In our seminars, we go through the sort of step-by-step discussion of the evolution of chiropractic in the modern world, especially as regards individual schools. In the last 5 years, I have lectured at the majority of chiropractic schools in the world, so unfortunately, I know too much. I'm surprised somebody doesn't just put me out of my misery. But I know what's going on in schools. I'll tell you, in most schools, in the majority of chiropractic colleges in the world, they are afraid of the concept of subluxation, they are afraid of philosophy, and they are afraid to teach their children. They're afraid to teach their students how to detect and correct vertebral subluxation.
Yeah.
Remember, it is only by the science of detection and correction of vertebral subluxation that chiropractic has survived as a profession for the last century.
Yes.
And now we are being subverted by this sort of medical undercurrent that cheapens and mitigates and neutralizes the chiropractic legacy.
Okay.
So how does this transfer to the student who is going to school? There are many schools, several of them in California, where a student can be disciplined and penalized for actually learning how to practicing adjusting in the privacy of his own home or apartment. If the school finds out about that, he can be disciplined for that.
Wow.
I personally know a teacher of technique in some certain school in California who was fired from that school as a technique teacher. The crime, adjusting a student in adjusting class. So these types of events are not rare in the chiropractic profession today, unfortunately. So where does Dr. Young and our philosophy fit into all this? We realize what the chiropractic potential is. We realize that this is a subluxated world today, as we just heard from the last two lectures, and never has the need for legitimate, optimum developed chiropractic in the best skills of chiropractic. The world needs them now like never before. So the irony is, at the same time, we have this sort of undercurrent within the profession to degrade that. And so we know the value of traditional chiropractic and the legacy from B.J. Palmer. And the majority of kids graduating from chiropractic schools, either they get a really watered down version of that message, or else they don't get that message at all.
Yeah.
But somehow, every chiropractor, I always say this, every chiropractor who really has a successful practice, at one time or another, he got the chiropractic story. He got the big idea. He got the sacred trust. Somehow, some way, he got it. If it was at a seminar like this, a convention like this, well, that could be. If it was encountering somebody with the vision and dedication of a Dr. Tim Young or somebody like him, maybe it was like that. But I'm just saying, these are the people that are going to be responsible for the survival of this profession 10, 20, or 30 years down the road and more.
Okay. What messages would you want to convey to chiropractors from the bank of your teachings?
Okay, that's a big question. I'll try to break it down. I have 3 full-day seminars that are accredited, not just in California, but in other states and around the world as well. I have a full-day seminar on chiropractic neurology and philosophy. I have another full-day seminar on chiropractic technique. I have a full-day seminar on holistic nutrition and detox. And then, of course, I'm the guy who wrote Vaccination Is Not Immunization, which is now in its 17th edition, which is, people buy that book all over the world. In addition to these live seminars, I now have 40 hours that are accredited in online continuing education, which are videos.
Wow.
Hours of videos. So this is some of the things that I've been involved with for the last decade or so. I was out of school for 1 year, and I was just learning to adjust. I was a terrible adjuster in school. When I got out of school, I got a job as an associate in a very busy clinic, and I started learning how to adjust. But then I got this job. Leonard got me the job in Sicily, Palermo, Sicily, which is like Italy. And so I worked there for almost 2 years, and it was socialized medicine that covered chiropractic care in Italy at that time. And so every Italian got 45 visits per year paid for by the government, and that went on for 20 years. And so in my clinic, I walked in out of nowhere, and suddenly I'm adjusting 150 people a day, 5 days a week.
Wow.
And so you get good in a short time. And then I learned some of the things I was doing wrong in a very few days from the veterans there who had been there for years. And so I really was very fortunate to get this opportunity to develop very highly this skill of osseous chiropractic adjusting, learn how to do it very high velocity, very safely, and with no pain or trauma to the patient. I was very fortunate. Then I came back and I actually bought an existing practice in San Jose, and I ran that practice.
California.
Yeah, Silicon Valley. It was for 6 or 7 years, and then I took a break for 2 years, and I began to develop my website, thedoctorwithin.com. It's really an extensive, by this time it's a very extensive, broad-based website that concerns all those topics that I talked about: chiropractic philosophy, history, neurology, technique, and then I got into immunizations, vaccinations, the history of that, what's really going on. And then this is another whole long story, but I apprenticed myself to some of the top people in the world during the mid-90s in 4 different areas of clinical nutrition.
Wow.
And those areas were enzyme nutrition, colon detox, antioxidants, and minerals. So I didn't just read a couple articles like so many people I know who do web searches and then sell products or whatever, but I was actually trained by some of the top people in the world. It was completely fortunate.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have a newsletter that goes out once a month to some 60,000 people, and I only get one per month, so I don't spam people. But anyway, those newsletters are archived on my website, and I try to keep in touch with the chiropractic community as much as possible.
And your website, what's your website where they can find that information?
thedoctorwithin.com.
Doctor Within, we'll put that on the video and on the show notes for this interview as well.
That would be great.
Can you share with us some of the attributes of chiropractors that you've seen to be most successful? We've talked a lot about Dr. Tim Young. Any other thoughts that they all seem to have in common?
Got it.
Yeah.
That's a really good question. Nobody ever asked me that question. Okay, here are a couple characteristics of every single really successful chiropractor who has a really successful chiropractic practice out there that I've noticed. Number one is an unequivocal appreciation for the history and philosophy of chiropractic. Somehow they got that, and that's the other. It's the other. What is the word? It's an irony. It's an irony that one of the things that will perpetuate chiropractic and allow it to survive is its philosophy. And now what we have, this phenomenon that we see in most colleges of the world who are expunging philosophy from their curriculum. Why would they do that? Why would they do that? If you don't know what you're about, if you don't know what your professional agenda should be, if you don't know what specific service you are trained to offer the general public that no one else knows how to do, if you don't know what that is and where that comes from and why we have survived for the last century, then how are you going to expect to be able to explain that to anyone and have them actually walk through your door to be a patient? So that's the first thing. Somehow along the way, they rejected this poo-pooing of philosophy and this criticism of philosophy that most of the schools are giving kids. They got that from somewhere, from a book, from a person. Somehow they got it. Second thing is they got rid of their fear of adjusting vertebral segments osseously. Do you know what I'm saying here?
Yes.
Well, this seems to be prevalent within our profession. It's a curse within our profession that most of the students coming out of most of the schools are now afraid, and they're taught to be afraid of learning how to safely and with high velocity adjust a subluxation of the vertebral spine, because they're told you're going to hurt people, it really doesn't work, and they're going to sue you. And so you tell students over and over these same falsehoods, it starts to become their reality. So somehow, some way, they have to overcome this disinformation, the systematic disinformation that they're getting, and learn the truth about the legacy and the historical value of chiropractic.
Okay, beautiful. Very, very, very beautiful. Thank you for that. Any books that you have read that you appreciate inside of or outside of chiropractic that you might recommend students or chiropractors read?
Wow, I could have fed you that question, Doc. Okay, on my website, thedoctorwithin.com, there is a button on the homepage. It's called Chapters. So you click on Chapters, and it's all these monographs on various topics that I've written on. One of them is called Essential Books to Overcome Cerebral Atrophy and De-Evolution.
That's a mouthful.
There's a whole list of books that answer the question that you just asked me.
In order to locate Dr. O'Shea's extensive list of books for recommended reading, visit thedoctorwithin.com, click on Chapters, and then select Essential Books for Life.
Okay.
On that site.
Wonderful resource. We'll put links to all that on the show notes, things like that.
You can really afford to believe in chiropractic. If you take a chance and believe in chiropractic and do everything you can to learn everything you can about it, all aspects of it, the science, the neurology, the philosophy, and the technique itself, it's going to pay off. That's when you get into from the survival mode, hoping that I can pay the rent next month, to realize you're now in. It's not about money anymore. Now we're in the area of abundance, and it's all the energy you put into that, into your profession, is going to come back to you 100-fold in rewards, not just in money, but in the richness of the profession and the people whose lives we touch.
Okay. Very good. I appreciate that a lot. And I think holding on to that can pull us through. Knowing that those benefits, the people will meet, the great friendships we'll create, and the lives will change as clinicians in our practices, and the lives will change speaking and sharing.
Sure.
It can't be measured, and I think that once we realize there's something way bigger than ourselves out there, not only that we're able to impact, but that we, like sunshine, that we benefit by also.
Sure.
It's worth the struggle. And I've been through things as well that were very hard to overcome, but I'm very glad that I have.
But one more thing is, just think of the power that events like CalJam here and like Focus and like ChiroFest and other events like this, just think of the energy, the geometric logarithmic energy that is generated by this many people all in one room for a day or two, bouncing ideas off each other, making connections, hearing these very powerful ideas from some of the speakers. Just think of the energy that is sort of building up in here, and when it's going to be released when people leave out into the universe. Have you ever thought of the power of that?
Yeah, the momentum. Mm-hmm. Good stuff. There's a lot there. Anyway, those are the main things I wanted to touch bases with you on, but I'd like to ask you, are there any events or any programs coming up that you're going to be involved in that you'd like to mention?
Well, of course, on my website, thedoctorwithin.com, there's a button. It's called Live Seminars, and that's always maintained all the time. I'm going to be in Ventura in a couple of weeks, then I'm going to be in Seattle, and we're planning... I go to Europe every year, and this year I'm going to do London and Paris and Frankfurt, but there's always new things coming up. I'm going to do Denver, Mile High. I recommend people go to all these conventions that I mentioned.
What will you be speaking on primarily on all these dates?
Those three topics. Okay. Chiropractic, philosophy and technique, holistic nutrition and detox, and vaccines and immunization.
Okay, good stuff. What comes to mind when you hear about chiropractors pushing for the right to prescribe pain medications in the chiropractic office? What comes to mind?
No, it doesn't come to mind. I've experienced this directly. I know exactly who those people are. These are people who they never believed in chiropractic. It's not like you believe in the tooth fairy, not like that. It's like they never took a chance. They never were shown the value of chiropractic. They don't get adjusted. They never learned how to adjust. Many of them are in positions of some kind of regulatory bodies, or else they're educators. And so now here comes, and as a consequence, so they see chiropractic failing. They see themselves as a failure in their chosen profession. And so just before they decide to give it up completely and go and sell insurance or whatever, like something like 50% of the people in this profession eventually do, they see this lily pad that they can hop to, and maybe that will save them. And this lily pad now, and this is really going on in Florida, in Arizona, New Mexico, other places, right? Oh, if I'm a good little chiro med and don't make too much noise, they're going to give me the right They're going to send me my script pad in the mail, and I'll be able to write prescriptions just like a real doctor. And they're hoping that that will save them. The problem with that is all the medical doctors who refer patients to chiropractors, patients don't want a watered down version of what already failed them.
Yeah.
How ridiculous. We have what people want. We have what people need. We already have that. If doctors of chiropractic don't know that, then jumping on this new lily pad is certainly not going to save them.
Yeah.
They already tried that. They don't want that. It didn't work.
Yeah. It sounds like subluxation is an important word to you. Mm-hmm. Do you have, if you're explaining to someone what a subluxation is, do you have a definition for subluxation
D.D. Palmer's definition, well, it's very simple. Just there's two main components: vertebral blockage and immobility, along with neurological deficit.
Okay.
If any way you want to put those two ideas together, that's the idea of vertebral subluxation. In my full day seminar, I go through and I cite one medical source after another, orthopedic sources, medical textbook, who use the word subluxation exactly in the way that DD and BJ used it, with those two components. So it is only we, and these self-styled leaders of our profession, some of them, who are going to expunge now subluxation from our own lexicon. What an insult. What a disservice to our legacy again.
Couple more, we're in the last minute or two.
Sure.
I want to free you up.
Look at all those chemtrails out there. Exactly what you see them in line?
Yeah.
The whole sky.
In the sky here. Maybe I'll turn this around and get a shot of that.
Dane Wigington, geoengineering.org.
Correction. Dane Wigington's website is actually geoengineeringwatch.org.
We'll put a link to that too.
Okay.
I'm down in San Diego. Every day there's a plane streaking across the sky, changing course, correcting again, and it's awfully scary.
Yeah.
A couple more last minute things, doctors, and thank you for your time, you've been so generous. If you met someone, this is for chiropractors forming their chops, if you met someone out in public and you had just a few minutes with them, and they're not familiar with what chiropractic is.
Yeah.
If you had a few minutes, what is chiropractic? If you had just a few minutes with somebody, or if you have a minute with somebody.
We do this in our seminar. It's called the elevator talk.
Yes, elevator talk.
You're going from floor 1 to floor 10, and somehow you're wearing a shirt or the topic of chiropractic, or my neck hurts. Have you ever heard of chiropractic? What's chiropractic? What's chiropractic? Oh, you don't know what chiropractic? Chiropractic is the largest drugless profession, is the largest drugless health profession in the world. And we specialize in cases that have failed from medical care, from drugs and surgery. That's what we specialize in. And we do that by restoring the integrity and the communication between the central nervous system and the nerves that control every cell and organ in the body by X-raying, lining up, and freeing up the blocked segments of the vertebral spine. How's that sound?
That's beautiful. That's a lot.
This is my floor.
Ding. Last but not least, just any closing thoughts. I'd love to spend hours with you, but we need to be sensitive to time. Just last closing thoughts for people who will listen to this episode, chiropractors out there in the trenches. What closing thoughts might you have for those chiropractors out there who want
to learn more about chiropractic? Or who want to learn more about how to become better chiropractors?
Sure.
Which one of those?
Maybe just those who want to become great chiropractors, who want to excel in this beautiful profession, not only professionally for themselves and their own security for their family, but in service for patients who are sick and who are subluxated and need to build beautiful practices.
Tim Young actually answered that question when he was talking about his daughter and how she spends all her time, getting information from all sources. I would recommend the same thing, reiterate the same ideas, read everything you can, go to as many seminars and conventions like this if they're good, but also be circumspect. And when you hear somebody, no matter what their status in the chiropractic community is, when you hear them talking about something about they're going to limit the power of chiropractic, or they're going to tell you what their idea of chiropractic, always ask yourself this question. This question should always be in the background. Are they talking to me out of a motivation of fear or control, or are they talking to me out of an appreciation for the power and limitless abundance of the chiropractic adjustment?
Beautiful stuff. That's all I have for now. Are you good for now?
I'm good.
Thank you for your time, Doctor.
Pleasure seeing you. Thank you very much.
Hello, and welcome back to the post show for episode 8. And please remember, if you're listening to the audio version of this episode on iTunes, Stitcher, Double Twist, or any of the other audio podcast directories, we have a full video of this episode available for viewing at youtube.com/iHeartChiropractic. We're also migrating many of these episodes onto Facebook for you to watch there should you choose to do that. Please remember to like us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube. As it pertains to audio podcast directories, please subscribe and comment on iTunes and the other directories. It helps people who have not yet seen or listened to our programming learn more about what it is that we do. So we appreciate your participation in commenting and those sorts of things on the various social media platforms as it pertains to our programming and how it's helping you and making a difference in your life and in your practice. So thank you for being here. And please don't forget to stop by for future episodes, because there's some great programming and content in the production pipeline to bring to you for future episodes, including more interviews with highly successful chiropractors, as well as testimonial-based episodes, as well as some episode concepts around interviewing some people, kind of hitting the street and just talking to some people, some lay individuals from the community as it pertains to their views on chiropractic and their perception of chiropractic as a lay individual from the community. So we have some great ideas to bring to you. So thank you for joining us so far. We look forward to a future relationship with you as a listener and a contributor, maybe in some cases. So don't forget to email me at drmills@iheartchiropractic.com. If you have any thoughts, comments, suggestions, visit our show notes, iheartchiropractic.com, click on podcasts, look up episode 8 with Dr. Tim O'Shea. There's some great information and valuable information there. I look forward to seeing you at the next episode. Until then, adjust, adjust, adjust. And we'll be looking forward to seeing you again very soon. All information contained in this video blog, audio podcast episode, and on the iHeart Chiropractic website is intended to provide a fun and interactive learning experience. It is not intended to serve as advice with regard to any specific health condition that you may have, but is intended for general health and wellness educational purposes only. This is not a substitute for seeking appropriate care by a doctor of chiropractic or qualified healthcare professional of your choice with respect to a specific condition that you may have. As a recipient of the information from this podcast episode or the iHeart Chiropractic website, you are not establishing a doctor-patient relationship with any chiropractor or physician. There is no replacement for individualized care and advice from your personal chiropractor or qualified healthcare professional of your choice.